Welcome into today's edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Moreno and Shaka Hislop. We'll kick things off in the Premier League. Friday night action at Selhurst Park saw Crystal Palace take on Manchester City. And boy, was this a much improved City performance compared to that with the Community Shield and the opener against Bournemouth. They dominated Palace as this game went on. It'd be Erling Haaland getting his first goal of the season early on in the game, but the second half was all about Rayan Cherki, who was given the start today after his impressive performance against the Cherries. 2 quick goals, a lovely individual style and run to get Manchester City second, and then a deflected shot 5 minutes later to give them the advantage. Palace would get one, but in the end, Haaland got his second, Manchester City's fourth, to see them win. 2 opening matches to put them, as it stands, top of the table. For more on this, Frank Leboeuf joins us. Frank, you said this was going to be a draw. How'd you get it so wrong?
Surprises and predictions. We know football. If I knew all results, I would be a billionaire. So therefore, I have to make some mistakes sometimes. But congratulations to Manchester City and to Rayan Cherki. I hope we're going to talk about the fact that he wasn't very happy after the first goal. A little bit some look at on the bench to Maresca. Say, you know what? Put me on the field because I can score those kind of goals. So. I don't know if the guy want to talk about that, but it says a lot about the pressure on Maresca.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about Rayan Cherki, most definitely, because he is the big talking point from this game. In a sense, came on, made an impact against Bournemouth, and then that first goal of his today was just exceptional.
And it is what he's capable of doing. The upside of his game takes you to this place where he can do special things. It's just that we don't see the upside consistently enough for him to warrant to be a starter all the time. Now, the progression right now for Rayan Cherki has been the ideal one. In the first game of the season, you start off on the bench, you're not happy about it, you're given an opportunity, you make a difference, and because you made a difference, you were a player that Manchester City needed to be on the field. Now you start the second match, and then you have this sort of performance, which then we would assume would mean that he's going to be a starter from here on out up until his performances drop. So, Rayan Cherki is a tremendously talented player. There is no doubt about that, and I don't think any of us would doubt that. What we doubt is whether he can do this every single game or most games, which he hasn't proven capable of doing just yet. Here's an opportunity where I think he's going to get a long number of games in which he's going to start. He's going to have a chance to make a difference for this team, and he'll have every opportunity to stay on the field.
Certainly, considering today's performance, he merits a long stretch in this team.
Absolutely, and you need that kind of creativity on the park, at your disposal, and Cherki gives you that. If he gives you enough going the other way, we will have to see, especially once opponent becomes a whole lot tougher. I do not think Palace put up much of a fist at all. But he has a skill set that very few have. Certainly nobody else in the Manchester City dressing room does, in terms of unlocking defences with the ball at his feet. I think he will start for a long time. You can kind of build around that. Given some of the signings you've made this summer, defensive midfield, they spent an awful lot in retooling and making sure the City are well covered in that department. And you allow Cherki to do as he does. And he was allowed to do that today.
What's interesting, given his first season at City, and we saw, remember the shirt swap and just some of the shenanigans from Rayan Cherki, I wrote to Nadem, and once he got his second, I said, can you tell me some stories about Cherki being an idiot? You know, just because I wanted to give some context. And he went, no, actually, it's the complete opposite. For the Manchester City squad, saying he's great within the team, he stays late, he's early for training. The thing is, he'll just let you know if he's unhappy, if he's not playing. So it's interesting, Frank, that you kind of maybe had this concept about him being a bit silly. I suppose that wasn't the word I used. But it seems like he's just a guy who wants to play football. But as you say, and as the boys say, how much can you trust him to put in these performances week in, week out?
So far, as Ali has said, and I agree with him, it's hard to believe, according to what we have seen last season, that he can be consistent. But he will learn and he will improve. And I like the fact that he's upset, and when he's upset, he's performing very well. And I'm with you. He's 100%. He's 100% believing that he can be the best player maybe in the world. but he has to prove it to everybody. He knows inside himself that he can be that kind of guy, but he knows that he has to get he has to be performant every game that he played on. But I think he has the willingness of that. And we can see every time that he touches the ball, when he's in the last 30 yards, that the guy is a threat. So if he gets the confidence, if he gets the physical as well that he needs to perform that way, he's going to be unstoppable. But now, having said that, we have to talk also about Foden playing on the right side, not being the number 10 like he was in the first game, not being as performant as he is when he plays at number 10. So that's a real big problem for Maresca. To play with the two players who are absolutely fantastic players can be an issue, and he will have to make a choice. So maybe we'll have to talk to Cherki. I have to play sometime without you because I need to put Foden in his right position, and you cannot play on the right side. So it's complicated, but it is what it is when you have so many talents.
Having said that, though, in the subject of Phil Foden, even though he was playing on the right-hand side, there was enough rotation and enough fluidity that he was appearing in central positions. And even when he was coming from the right-hand side, in which was a really good build of play in the first half, he ends up having a chance that he should have scored. And so, as a player, right, let's say that you feel like you are out of position if you're Foden. But he had chances to score a couple of goals in that first half. He scores those couple of goals. He's not thinking, I'm out of position. I don't really like this. He's saying, hey, maybe there's a role here where both of us can be on the field together. And maybe if Rayan Cherki is attracting attention, that means that I'm going to be left open. And if I'm going to be left open, then it's up to me to take advantage of the opportunities. He had a couple of clear chances in the first half that if he takes those, then we're having perhaps a different conversation about Phil Foden playing on the right-hand side. Today, it worked well for Manchester City. I don't know how it will in the future because I think it's something that Shaka mentioned there. Crystal Palace, they gave all sorts of time and space to Manchester City and allowed Manchester City to just look as good as they did, especially in the second half. But I think there is a scenario by which both of these players can be on the field and can be successful playing alongside each other, with each other, and for each other.
Well, one of those chances was Cherki coming down the right side into that right channel, clipping the ball back for Foden, and he should have scored a header from 6 or 7 yards. So I don't see that as being an issue, Sally rightly says. I think the challenge comes with Foden, or even if Cherki goes on that right-hand side, they aren't out-and-out wingers. So they aren't going to match the line and stretch your defence in that regard. But because two of them are able to interchange so fluidly, it gives defender and left-back an issue. And you're not quite sure what to do or when to do it. And there were times that Crystal Palace were just so exposed on that left-hand side. Because of that, this game really should have been done with a half hour on the clock.
So what are we saying about City then, Frank? This is a really good performance from them. As you can criticise Crystal Palace. They've still got Buadi to come in. Enzo's going to come in as well, it looks like, from Chelsea. Are we a little more positive about them than we have been, certainly, at the start of this season?
Definitely. And I kind of changed my mind from yesterday when I was saying that I didn't feel them, being, maybe a contender or a team or the second team who can chase Arsenal. But having seen, today them playing well against Crystal Palace, and that's maybe a different story against more defensive and more accurate team defensively, that would be a different scenario. But I have to be honest, what I saw today was a good composure from everybody. They were playing high on the field. They knew what they had to do. They knew exactly how to play. Haaland is like Samson, well, he's unlike Samson from the Ancient Testament. He lost his hair, but doesn't lose his power. And we can feel that everybody understands each other and want to work together. That's very interesting. And you can change personal. It works too. So I'm ready to change my mind. I still need like 2 or 3 games to see exactly what's going to happen to Manchester City.
I still think that in the first half, if Crystal Palace had anything about them, in the attacking third. There were opportunities and chances for them to find the right passes and the right final decision to really put Manchester City in trouble. In the first half, there were at least 3 or 4 sequences in which Crystal Palace very easily completed 2 or 3 passes out of pressure, and now they were going. The problem is that they have nothing going in the attack, and they couldn't expose the vulnerabilities and frailties of Manchester City. I believe Manchester City are still short in numbers in the midfield. And because they're short in numbers in the midfield, they feel like some of those, either the center backs or the outside backs, they come and try to help.
So does Buadi coming in and Enzo, that's numbers, that's big numbers.
Right, but now let's do the math. What do we do with Rayan Cherki then?
Well, he's playing.
Okay. And Phil Foden is playing, and everybody's...
Phil Foden can go away.
All right, okay, well... No.
Cherki's...
But Ali, I'm sorry to jump on you, Ali, in the way that, yes, maybe Crystal Palace had some chances in the first half, but if Foden could have converted his 2 chances, which was quite easy for a player like him, it would have been done 3-0.
I am convinced that Frank doesn't listen to me, or anybody for that matter. Yeah, exactly. The first thing I said about Phil Foden is that he had a couple of chances that he should have taken advantage of. My larger point is that if we're looking at Manchester City...
So who finishes second?
Oh, Manchester City.
Manchester City finished second?
Yeah.
But that was always your thought?
Yes.
No matter what happened today?
Yes, nothing that I saw today told me Manchester City are ready to challenge Arsenal. If that is the question, because I think Arsenal are far and away the best team in this league. And so Manchester City, I think they're still going to be exposed in transition on the outside areas. And once those outside areas are covered, they're going to be exposed in transition through the midfield. We saw that today at least 3 or 4 times in the first half by Crystal Palace.
We've seen you flip-flopping as to who was going to finish second, Shaq.
I got Liverpool. Final answer.
What?
Liverpool, final answer.
I'm sorry, what?
My God.
Liverpool, final answer. Now,
What were you doing in England? Have you seen Liverpool?
final answer. Now, about
He
City...
was at Newcastle.
About
What did you do? Did you visit the country?
We'll deal with that some other time. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that right now.
Shaq is desperate to make a serious point. I'm desperate not to let him.
No, we're not talking about Liverpool right now.
So where is City,
on my
where
picks.
is City finishing?
4th.
Blooming heck, Shaq.
Yeah.
So what, Chelsea third?
Yeah. I think to build on what Ali was saying, there were times in this game, and again, I thought Crystal Palace were awful. I have serious concerns about them, but they kept making chances. And this is the concern we had about...
Phil Foden almost took his chance.
But that has nothing to do with what happens up the other end. As good a back 4 as
They
City...
won 4-1.
Yes, but Crystal Palace... I repeat, are god-awful.
But there are a lot of god-awful teams in this league.
Quite possibly. Right, but we're 2 games
Liverpool so far.
in. Yeah, right.
I'm listening,
But
Jack, I'm listening.
a god-awful team is creating way too many chances up the other end. And I feel that may again prove to be City's Achilles heel. That defensively, they just can't seem to get it right. Maybe Enzo coming in and Buadi, we can't play all of them. You can't play 13 men, and that's the challenge.